Wednesday evening with Martin on the top floor here on BBC Radio Derby, and time to introduce Josh Leverton, who you've been hearing in session all this week so far. And here he is again. Hi, Josh.
Hiya.
Back again with your one-man band of your loop pedal. I love the loop pedal. I just think it's such a brilliant idea because it allows somebody who maybe is just I say just a guitarist, like that's a terrible thing. It's not at all. But somebody who plays the guitar and wants to gig with that on their own, but then thinks, oh no, but I could really do with something a little bit more, fancy like having a bit of rhythm or maybe a bit more complexity, and you just can do that. All you have to do, plug the loop pedal in, you've got all the sort of instruments under the sun, basically, haven't you? It's
Absolutely.
A really good idea. How long have you been working with that piece of equipment?
This particular loop pedal, maybe about a year or so.
Okay, and in general, how long have you been using them?
About 3 years, I would think. It started off with one of them little pedals where it's just literally one pedal on its own. Same as like you get on, say, like an electric guitar, so we've got like a distortion one kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you're very limited in what you can do on that because it's only one channel, so you can only really record one thing and then start and stop it, which doesn't allow you to do as much. It was something I felt we needed to invest in a bigger one. So.
Yeah. Well, no, it's very good. You live in, you're from Ripley and you live in Codden now, is that right?
That is true.
Yeah, and how would you describe the music scene in that part of Derbyshire?
I mean, unfortunately, it's practically non-existent in Codner, with the exception of a couple of pubs that will have gigs every sort of 2 or 3 weeks or so as a guest. But, I mean, there's no sort of open mic scene in Codner, unfortunately. So my nearest bet would be either sort of Ripley or Hena as such. But a lot of the time, I will quite happily bus to get about anywhere anyway. So, I mean, I still go to the one at the Holly Bush every Sunday anyway. So it's a matter of planning throughout the week, I think. So such as Sunday night, I'll go to the Holly Bush in Marehay. Sometimes there'll be something on the Thorn Tree in Ripley as well. So that's another one that's quite often having open mic nights. I've started making a bit of a habit of going to the Rescue Rooms in Nottingham, their open mic on a Monday night. That's a really good one to go to. It's quite sort of diverse. You'll very rarely see the same people in, so obviously you're getting to meet a lot of new faces and see and hear new music. So, and
do you find that you end up working and collaborating with other musicians that turn up to these open mic nights, or do you tend to continue doing your own thing?
It's something that, should the time arise, I would quite happily do. There have been mentions with a few artists as to whether we should collaborate, and I think when the time is right, that is something that I will probably look into.
We're going to hear one of your originals now. How often do you write your own stuff?
Unfortunately, at the moment, it hasn't been that often because the writing process for me takes a long, long time. After my first EP, Dawn, I must have had about a nearly year-long writer's block, and I just could not find the words for anything. But I got to a point where I just had this sudden surge of inspiration, I suppose.
And where did that come from?
Things that were happening at that point in time, I guess. A lot of the songs that I write are based on circumstances that have either happened in the past or are currently happening. Or in the case of one of the songs on the new EP that's coming out, something that I had concerns may happen. So it's a lot of, trying to turn something that could potentially be negative in some cases into something constructive. Say, for example, the song that I'm about to play today is one that I wrote about potentially feeling a little bit alone or a little bit like you're not fitting in with the crowd, and then being under the impression that people might not necessarily want to be around you, and then having that sort of epiphany that maybe it's better to stand out. There's different ways of putting it, really, but that's what this one's about.
Okay, well, let's hear it. What's it called?
This one's called A Light in the Dark.
When you're ready.
turns to night, and the sun leaves the dark of the abyss for us to light, to illuminate the silent stars shining bright, like the souls who surround us every day. They're in plain sight. You can join our constellation, streets fill with life, and nocturnals will rise. Day only masks what's in front of our eyes. Life always prospers, it fights on and conquers. We make better choices when we use our voices. So don't be shy, ignite the sky. You're one of us now, a light in the dark. Woo, 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 woo. Some try to thieve from the fire that burns within our souls, but when they leave, like a candle they will burn out. Time isn't kind to the greedy or hateful, but you'll see that we'll be fine. We can shine bright together, streets fill with life, and nocturnals will rise. Day only masks what's in front of our eyes. Life always prospers, it fights on and conquers. We make better choices when we use our voices. So don't be shy, ignite the sky. You're one of us now, a light in the dark. Just remember what you're here for. Like a phoenix, let your wings soar. Just remember what you're here for. Like a phoenix, let your wings soar. Just remember what you're here for. Like a phoenix, let your wings soar. Just remember what you're here for. Like a phoenix, let your wings soar. Just remember what you're here for. Like a phoenix, let your wings soar. Life always prospers, it fights on and conquers. We make better choices when we use our voices. So don't
Whoa. Wowee! That was sort of, I mean, at points that was like haunting, and at points it was kind of euphoric. You went through a lot of sort of a roller coaster of emotions, if you'll pardon the cliche. With that,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. Josh, thank you very much indeed. More from Josh tomorrow on the top floor when we return with more In Session from Josh Leverton.